All right, guys, let's take a look at this trig quiz review. I'm going to work through the whole thing. I don't know why I do it for y'all. I guess I love all my little babies. So let's take a look. I'm going to go kind of quick, but you can fast forward, you can pause, you can do whatever you need to do. It says find the variable indicated, round to the nearest thousandths. For example, blah, 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 blah. All right, these are already set up for us. If x is a pi, all you got to do is multiply. That's going to be 23 sine 23. Oh, that's funky. So 23 sine 23, I type it in. I get 8.987 if I round correctly. W is up pi, got to multiply. So W is going to equal 6 times the cosine of 12. 6 cosine of 12 is 5.869. We're crushing it. Tan 60. I could do this without a calculator if I had to. I know that you could too. But if you have a 60-degree angle, this would be 1 root 3 and 2. Tan of 60 is going to equal root 3. Oh, it says round. It says round. So the square root of 3 is 1.732. I need to be smarter than this, guys. Sorry. If D is down low, they switch places. So D equals 3 divided by tan 60, which is 3 divided by the square root of 3, which is 3 root 3 over 3. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I'm going to type it. That feels funky in my head. I'm going to type it in. Okay, it's root 3. All right, so it is, in fact, 1.732. There we go. There we go. Sine 88, C is down low, so C would equal 8 over the sine of 88. 8 over sine 88. That's 8.00. 5. X is missing. Sorry, X is the angle. If the angle is missing, that's going to be inverse trig. Inverse trig, 5 over 4. Inverse tangent, 5 over 4. And that is 51.340. That's a 5. I know you guys are going to complain about my 5s. There we go. All right, first page done. Number 2. So now we got to set them up. This is, let's change color here. This is adjacent hypotenuse. That's the cosine. So AH is going to be cosine of the angle equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So we got to multiply the 9 over. So it's going to be 9 cosine 14, round to the nearest thousandths. So that's going to be 8.733. 8.733. Got it. Here we have a missing angle. This is opposite hypotenuse, so it's going to be inverse sine of 13 over 14. That's going to be really close to 90. Inverse sine of 13 over 14. And I get, wait, what? Not that close to 90. I'm a little shocked. 68.213. I thought it would be a lot closer. 13 is real close to 14. Okay. Sometimes you just don't know. And then we have, X is the angle. This would be opposite adjacent. So that's going to be inverse tangent of 10 over 2. So inverse tangent of 10 over 2. And I get 78.690. There we go. Oh, we got one more. And here we have, we have two situations. We'll get y first. Opposite over adjacent to get y. So that would be tangent of 63 equals opposite over adjacent. So y equals 5 over tan 63. 5 over tan 63 is That's my y value. That's 2.548. And then the x value, we'll change the color here. For x, would still use the 5. That's the whole number. That's still opposite. That's hypotenuse. So that would be the sine of 63 equals opposite over hypotenuse. It's down low, so they switch places, you know. So we got 5 over the sine of 63. And I get 5.612. There's our work, there's our answer. All right, you'll have questions very much like this. It says round angle measures to the nearest degree, round ratios to the nearest 10,000ths. Woo! So sine 87, I type in sine 87. That is a ratio. Remember, it gives me a ratio. Sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. So when I type in sine 87, they're giving me the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. That ratio is to the nearest 10,000ths. So that would be 0.9986. Tan of 6.753. Oh, that's just a diagonal on my keyboard. Tan of 6.753 is 0.1184. All right, and it says angle measures to the nearest degree. That's like a nearest whole number. Well, if cosine, remember cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And we're trying to go backwards to get the angle. So how do I undo that? I'm going to do inverse cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. Inverse cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. Nearest degree, 68 degrees. Nearest whole number, 68. Same idea here. Tangent of Q, that is opposite over adjacent. So the measure of angle Q will be inverse tangent opposite over adjacent. And I get round to the nearest degree, that would be 15 degrees. I hope you understood those instructions. Let's do a good job there. State the triple family. State the scale factor being used. All right, so maybe you can figure out, maybe you can't. Like this is 12 times 3, 12 times 4, 12 times 5. That's a 3, 4, 5. That's not so bad. And it's times 12, so that's my scale factor. Okay, we can do that. Now here's the thing. We could do those, like I know you can do those, but let's pretend you couldn't. Did you know you can go to your calculator, type in 36 divided by 48? And it will do it for you. So if you have a calculator, I put a 0 in front, but that's just 36 divided by 48. It reduced it to 3/4. Well, if that's a ratio of 3 to 4, and they're telling you it's a triple, well, you know it's going to be a 3, 4, 5 in that case. So what about this one? What could I type into my calculator for B? Because that's kind of funky. 27.5 over 66. So watch this. So when I type it in, because there's a decimal on top, the calculator thinks I want decimals. So to change that, we hit this SD key that's simplified to decimal. What's in decimal, so it's going to go back to simplified. This reduces to 5/12. So what triple is this going to be if it reduces to 5/12? 27.5 over 66 is 5/12. 27.5 over 71.5, you guessed it, is 5/13. It's a 5/12/13. What's the scale factor? Well, I'm just going to do 27.5 divided by 5. The scale factor is 5.5. And then same idea here. I'm going to do 112 divided by 210. 112 over 210. I would not give you ones this hard if this was without a calculator. And then 112 divided by 238. That's 8 over 17, so it is 8, 15, 17. What's 112 divided by 8? What's the scale factor? It is 14. So there are the actual answers. Figure out a way to get it. During its approach to Earth, the space shuttle's glide angle changes. The glide angle is the depression and the elevation. Remember, it's the same angle, but you can think of it as either one. When the shuttle's altitude is about 15.7, that's like its height. Its horizontal distance to the runway is about 59. What is the glide angle? Well, that would be opposite adjacent, and we want the angle, so it's going to be inverse tangent, opposite over adjacent. Inverse tangent of 15.7 over 59. And it says round to the nearest tenth. Yikes, I almost didn't. Okay, that's going to be 14.9. When the space shuttle is 5 miles away from the runway horizontally, its glide angle is about 19. Remember, that's the angle of elevation or depression. You can do it either way. Find the shuttle's altitude at this point in its descent. That would be its height. So this would be tangent of 19 equals opposite over adjacent. So that equals 5 times the tangent of 19. And we're rounding to the nearest tenth again. Okay, that'd be 1.7. The altitude would be about 1.7 miles in that case. Find the following ratios. So first thing I would do is make a smaller version of the same triangle. Divide by 3, this would be 1. Divide by 5, this would be 1. And divide by 3, this would be 3. So I hit it with a Pythagorean theorem. The square root of 3 squared minus 1 squared is the square root of 8, which is root 4 times root 2. So this side is 2 root 2. And this would be A, and this would be C. Those are the ones I care about. So the sine of A, which triangle should I go to? Right, I could multiply the 5 back on. This is 10 root 2. But let's say I want like the sine of A. So the sine of A is 10 root 2 opposite over hypotenuse 15. And that reduces 10 and 15 reduced to 2 and 3. But it was already reduced over here. Since you have to reduce it, it's 2 root 2 divided by 3. Just use the smaller one to begin with. Just start over here. So let's do that. What's the sine of angle C? Here's angle C. Opposite of C is 1. Divided by hypotenuse is 3. It's already reduced. What's the cosine of A? Let's go to A. What's adjacent to A? 1. What's the hypotenuse? 3. The cosine of C, adjacent to C, 2 root 2. Hypotenuse, 3. The tangent of A, so we start at A, opposite over adjacent. That'd be 2 root 2 divided by 1, which is just 2 root 2. And the tangent of C, this one's a little tough. The tangent of C is 1 opposite divided by 2 root 2 adjacent. We can't leave it like that. We have to multiply the root 2 to the top. That's root 2. And what's this? That's 2. So you have 2 times 2 is 4. So it's not complete until you have root 2 divided by 4. So use the reduced triangle. I hope you understood those. On the previous question, what is the measure of angle A and the measure of angle C? I can use any one of these. I have lots of choices. For angle A and C, I'm going to use these. Those look like the easiest ones to type in, but I could do any of these. It's going to be inverse sine and inverse cosine. So if the sine of C is 1/3, then C is going to be the inverse sine of 1/3. So inverse sine 1/3, and it says round to the nearest whole number, would be 19. And if I did any of the angle C's, just for funsies, like what if I type this one in? That would be inverse tangent root 2 over 4. I'm going to type it in real quick. Inverse tangent root 2 over 4. Guys, it's the same angle, right? Aren't they both angle C? That means they're going to be the same size. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. Pick any of them that involve angle C and do some inverse on it. Well, we also need angle A. I'm going to use this one for angle A. That would be inverse cosine 1/3. So I'm going to type in inverse cosine 1/3. Round it to the nearest whole number. That'd be 71. Or I could have done 90 minus 19 because I know it has to be complementary. Either way is fine. So there's my 2. The base of an isosceles triangle has a length of 44. The vertex angle is 41. Isosceles triangle, 41. Base has a length of 44. We know those two sides are equal. 180 minus 41 divided by 2. I know that this is 69.5. What is the length of each leg? Guys, can't do trig on this until we make right triangles. You gotta fight for your heights. Gotta fight for these heights. It's a battle for heights. You need heights to have rights. So I'm gonna work on this triangle here. So I know that this is 69.5. I know that this is 22. This is the rule. Because it's isosceles, we know so much, guys. When you drop a height on an isosceles triangle, it makes it an angle bisector. It makes it a median. We know that all these things get cut in half because it's isosceles. If it wasn't isosceles, would it do all that? No. And the legs are the same size. What is the length of each leg rounded to the nearest whole number? Well, I need to solve this situation. This would be adjacent hypotenuse. This would be the cosine of 69.5 equals adjacent 22 over hypotenuse x. So x is down low. It switched places, you know. It's going to be cosine 69.5. 22 over the cosine of 69.5. I get 62.8. It's going to round to 63. I'm feeling real good right now. I hope you are too. Roma is standing 50 feet away from a tree. He can see the base of the tree, angle of depression, the top of the tree. Okay, we did one of these. So we got a tree over here. Whoop, whoop, and we got Roma standing over here. And horizontal line of sight, we know that he's 50 feet away. So angle of elevation to the top of the tree is 33 degrees. Call that x. Just that, we know that the tangent of 33 equals x over 50. So that's his distance from his eyes to the top. So x equals 50 tan 33. But wait, that's not the height of the tree, because there's tree to the bottom, right? If I scan all the way down, that depression, they say, is 8 degrees. Call that y. So the tangent of 8 would equal opposite y over adjacent 50. So y equals 50 times the tangent of 8 degrees. So what is the height of the tree? It's going to be the total distance from x plus y. So 50 tan 33 plus 50 tan 8. And it says round to the nearest whole number, 39.4 rounds to 39. There's the situation. I know that's a tricky one. We've had one just like that. Hopefully it's making more sense the more you do it. On a windy day, a 100-foot rope secures a hot balloon to a stake in the ground. A state? A stake. Wait, a skate? A stake. Steak. Steak. Yeah, wrong word. From the balloon, the angle of depression is that. So we got this balloon. It's secured to the ground. And they gave us the angle of depression. So you can do depression or elevation. I'm going to go with depression this time. The angle of depression would be 71 degrees. It is a 100-foot rope. The rope would be the diagonal. Right? Like if this was the stake and this is the balloon, the rope connects it. Find the height of the balloon. So this would be opposite over hypotenuse. The sine of 71 would equal opposite over hypotenuse. So the height would be 100 sine 71. 100 sine 71. Round to the nearest whole number again. 94.5 would round to 95. Perfect. Matthew bought a new shop and wants to order a new sign for the roof of the building. From point P, he finds the angle of elevation to the roof. Oh, we did this exact question in class, basically. To the roof. Actually, the last video, if you're watching the videos, to be 25 degrees. And the angle of elevation to the top of the sign to be 32 degrees. If point P is 14 units, how tall is the sign? Round to there's 100 this time. Okay. So it's 25 degrees to the roof. So can I find the height to the roof? Yes, that would be the tangent of 25 equals opposite over adjacent. So that would be 14 tangent 25. That's how tall it is to the roof. So the sign goes on the top of the roof, and there's an angle of elevation to the sign, and that angle of elevation is 32 degrees. Maybe I believe it's very helpful to pull the triangle out and work on it separately. That angle of elevation is 32. We're still 14 feet away. I'm going to call that y. So that would be the tangent of 32 equals y over 14. So y equals 14 tangent 32. Y would represent from the ground all the way to the top of the sign. So how do I get just the sign? You guessed it, y minus x would leave me with the sign. So in my calculator, y, 14 tan 32 minus x, 14 tan 25. And it says round to the nearest hundredth, 2.22. That's a lot of twos. 2.22. Do you guys have a tutu? I've never worn a tutu. I'm sure someone has. That's the last one. All right. I'm going to make sure I got the right answers on those because some of them felt a little clunky. I'm going to check my work. You don't have to watch this part of the video, but I have the answers here in front of me. I'm going to make sure I got them all correct. Make sure I agree with my own work. Just real quick. Let's skip on. Okay. Okay. All good?